for the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Madam Clerk, can I have a roll call, please?
Alderman Bowman.
Present.
Alderman Bockelman.
Here.
Alderman Milner.
Here.
Alderman Reese.
Here.
Alderman Dickerson.
Here.
Alderman Long.
Here.
Alderman Turner.
Here.
Alderman Stafford.
Here.
Mayor Hassey.
Here, and we do have a quorum. All right. Tonight we have a service anniversary to celebrate. Mary Osterberg has been with us for 15 years. So we want to recognize her accomplishment of reaching 15 years and tell her our thanks for her services and hope we get 15 years of service. So I'd like to present this on behalf of the Board of Aldermen.
Could you all step together, please? Here, if you want to turn that toward us.
Okay.
And raise it up just a little. There you go. Nice smile, everyone. One more time. Here we go. Thank you.
All right, at this time, I will open public participation. Anybody who has anything to bring before this board that is not already on our regularly scheduled agenda, please step forward. Please provide your name and address to the clerk.
Good evening, Mr. Mayor and Board of Alderman. I let a frog catch up with me. I apologize for that. I got a couple of comments I would like to make, if I might. I read our local paper and I seen our appointments to different committees are about the same as it was a year ago. We have gender discrimination and plain discrimination, and I'm sorry to see that, but I understand good old boy clubs. I've seen them around here over 50 years off and on. Mr. Mayor, you're the 13th mayor that I've had the honor of being under here in this community. Some of those men have provided some great leadership. Some of them colored outside of the lines. Some of them so bad they served, one of them so bad that he served time in the federal penitentiary. Lines and guidelines are set there for a purpose. When you are a public servant, as it says on the south side of our square, a public office is a public trust. And it's quite disappointing to see that we have what we got going on here. I don't know how to say this particularly, but I was given some advice about 30 years ago, and I've shared that occasionally with people. And it was given to me by Circuit Court Judge Robert Russell. Judge Russell served this county and Johnson County for several years. And I always felt like that he was a just judge. I worked with him on several young men that was in trouble. And he would let me work them on the job site. And we got a couple of those men still in the construction industry that he supervised. But in about 1984, my wife and I had a little conflict with the leadership of this community. And anyhow, Judge Russell represented Wanda and I. And he gave us some advice that for some reason I've never forgiven. he said, as he pushed his glasses up on his nose and he leaned forward to us, he said, kids are something you need to remember. The higher up in the tree the monkey climbs, the more behind you're going to see. And for some reason, when I seen your appointments, Mr. Mayor, I thought of that. I thank you for this time. Is there any questions for me? If not, well, have a pleasant meeting.
Thank you. Anyone else this evening?
Good evening, I'm Jeff Riddell, 206 South Price. Brought some notes, I promise to try to stay on them. I won't ramble. Just appreciate you guys giving me this time. I know it's a thankless job, but thank you for your service. In 2013, I was my sewer backup, and if you don't mind, I have a couple of pictures I'd like to pass out. Sure. This is a box that exists in my backyard, back in the corner. And by the looks, from me, it's the same picture, so there's no difference. It's a city grade looking manhole cover with a concrete box. And the problems I had in 2013 was my sewers back into my house. And when I approached the city, I was told that that box was my responsibility. And on top of that, there were other people up the street that fed into this box. And so I had a plumber come out from inside my house to the box. I had no problems with my sewer line. The city basically told me the box was my problem, so I had the plumber come out again at my cost, and I snaked and cambered the line from the box to the main. And there were issues in the tiles, and the plumber said, "You're going to have problems. We cleaned it out the best we could, but it's messed up from roots, and you're going to have problems in the future." And that was in 2013, the spring of. A year and a half later, my neighbor behind me complained of the smell, so I paid to have it snaked out again. Because when I came to the board meeting at the time, and I don't know if any of you were even here, I'm not sure. Most of you probably weren't, and there was a different city administrator. But I was told that night that the mechanic would be redone, and that in that process, we think we can fix your problem. And that was where I left it. I did not go into details. I just left the trust that when the time came, my problem would be fixed. And so on June 6th, seeing the progress of mechanic, I live right on the corner of Price and Mechanic, right at the end of the street from the high school. Seeing the progress, I emailed the Public Works on the 6th and said, remember this issue, and where do I stand with regard to fixing it? And I want to read the reply so I don't mess it up. The reply back on the 6th of June of this year was, and I'm older, so I better get my glasses. The main sewer line was being replaced between me and my neighbor to the east. And my add to that is he is not the neighbor that's possibly in the box. The neighbors are to the north of me, which would include a new lateral connection, but would not resolve the connection issues if it serves more than my home. This was June 6th this year. I was told in 2013 that there were other homes, at least one, if not more, that connected to the same box. Today, I received an email that said, Miles Excavating made the tie-in for our service, but that there is not a second service connection tied to the main, which indicates there is a common connection. This would be a good time to either clean or replace the lateral line to your clean out box inside the manhole structure. So my question to the board is, I have two of them. One, there's only one main connection that services more than my house. So I'm at a loss to understand why that's my responsibility. Why it doesn't back up to the box where multiple people hook in, or at least two people. I don't know, I'm not sure Public Works knows. If they do know, I've never been given any specific information. So what I'm trying to understand is, one, did Miles Excavating fix from the main to the box, or only partially? And I don't know if you have an answer to that, you probably don't. But I would like to find out if anyone knows that.
Eric, do you know anything about the
what they're,
They replaced one section of pipe, I believe, on the service line. I don't know how far out that went, but it did not go all the way to the box.
And the box is maybe 20, 30 feet from the main. And you can see in the picture, it's very close to the mechanic. So, I guess I'm asking the board, A, did they fix it from the main to the box? If they didn't, there's still an issue. And secondly, if there's only one main connection, why do I become in the public service of being the public works for a box that feeds multiple lines, and when they back up, I being the lowest property, 2 hills, if the problem, if the problem is fed up the hill from me. So I would like some answers from the board at some point, if possible, respectfully, to see if we can't resolve this problem differently. Yes.
When we talked, I vaguely remember this, because I think I was here. And I may be completely wrong, but is that box, was that, if I remember right, was that not a city's box? Was that put there by a personal?
Correct.
Okay, I
It's-
knew
it's
I
not-
remembered something about it,
It's
but I
not a
couldn't remember
manhole
what it was.
like you would see on our sewer system. It has a lid that resembles that, but it is not a manhole. Typically, all of our connections are made within a manhole itself. And I'm not exactly sure, I think this is some sort of open connection inside that box or whatever it is. My assumption would be a second or a third, I don't know how many houses have connected to that through the year, more than likely not going through the inspection process. They could save a dime here or there, and that's what happened.
And prior to my owning the house, by the way, that box was
Yes,
there.
no, it's been there from like the time I think the development was put in, if I remember this, and like you said, it was 3 years ago. But is that something that the city services? Is that part of our I can't remember what
The city's responsibility is 8-inch and larger lines. We don't allow anything less than that, because we have no way of cleaning something less than that. Our machines, that's as small down as we can go.
And I feel like this is a unique problem that I understand a policy, but I have a feeling, and I don't have any proof, that possibly these were done prior to being incorporated into city services. And at the point, I don't know this, if you can tell me differently, that's great, but at the point they were incorporated into city services, wouldn't it be their problem? Wouldn't that be the city's issue to the point of where there are multiple connections, not just mine, being, it's in my yard, therefore it's your problem, so.
I remember we talked about this, didn't we? Okay.
We did. And I'm the one that sent the email to Mr. Riddell. We believe there's at least one house to the north. We don't think there's more than one, but again, it's private lines that were installed decades ago, and they connect, the line from the north connects someplace between Mr. Riddell's clean out and where it goes into the main.
But there is only one main, so.
Yeah, there's only one connection,
We
but
all
there's
pay
two.
sewer fees.
There's two connections on, between his clean out and the main, but still, it's 4-inch lines. And we have this situation elsewhere in town where there are 4-inch laterals tied together that are still private lines because they all wanted to get on the sewer line and they extended their lines. You know, neighbors were trying to be good to other neighbors and said, sure, you can tie onto my line, and so Mr. Riddell's, we have no idea what the situation was at the time, but it's two private lines. They are not city maintained lines. They service those two homes, and
Well,
Mr. Riddell's on the lowest level, and there's a willow tree right there, and that's generally where the roots come. When I talked to Miles Excavation as to what they found, they basically said it was the connection was entirely filled with roots, and it was in sad shape. And that area is going to get filled in because they're going to widen the road out, make it 3 lanes. It's going to be deeper. It's going to be more difficult to dig in about a week than it is right now to get the work completed.
And I certainly agree with him that, you know, being the last man on the, other people should be involved. But we don't have anything set up to do that. Steve, Mr. Maurer may have a suggestion as to, you know, if somebody else, if multiple people are on a sewer lateral, how they share in the cost. Or it's the low man on the totem pole, so to speak.
And I guess if I could say ultimately, I felt there was a trust communicated to me in 2013. And quite frankly, if somebody would have said, while we had this open right now, let's fix this problem, and I probably would have contributed to the financially, because I want it fixed. I don't want sewer backing up into my house, especially when I'm not solely to blame for the possible backup. So I really wished we could have had an opportunity while the ditch was open and a lot more accessible and a lot less costly to fix, to have been part of that process in some form or fashion. So I'll give you guys, you can mull over that because I want to get into my second issue. And both of these are tied to the Mechanic Street construction, and I appreciate the time. I know I'm long here. So, road closed to through traffic, no semis allowed. April 22nd, semi comes down Price Street towards Mechanic. My power lines extends from my house across Price Street to the pole. Semi takes out my electric line. $750 because it damaged the pole that is in my meter. And of course, when you have damage, they want you to replace the meter with a newer version of the meter. And to replace the meter, replace the pole that was in my house, re-stretch the line. And by the way, the city services were great. We got it all done the same day. Didn't have any issues with you know, refrigerator full of food and such. But the reason for bringing it up is my power line went through a tree, a mature tree, and really didn't want to. It's always been an issue for me over the years. I keep thinking someday. So I did take down that tree, and because there was two in my front yard, I thought it would look dumb to have one tree, so I took both of them down. So I did incur a cost associated with replacing that electric line because they didn't want to run it back through the same mature tree. The reason I'm here about this issue is I got a copy of the police report, and in the police report, which I'm a very staunch supporter of the police, there were some inaccuracies in there that has not allowed me to pursue restitution through the company. And I was curious if the board or the police department would be able to grant me access to know if the driver was ticketed, and if he was ticketed, if restitution was made, and could I get that information to pursue my claim against this company, because the information in the police report listed a company name and a phone number. When I called the number, I believe I called the driver. And his response to me was essentially, this is something the courts will have to work out. The insurance information was listed as a cord. And if you have any knowledge of the insurance industry, a cord is merely a form service provider. They are not a carrier of insurance. So they need a carrier name and a policy number to assign it to a company. I can tell you, I have talked to Mrs. Anderson's daughter, Lynn. Mrs. Anderson lives across the street. She too was impacted by this loss of power, and I believe she is no longer in the home. But I know they had some damage to a refrigerator because they didn't know it was out because nobody lived there. So it was days or maybe in a month. I think Lynn said she went over to check on things and realized there was no power and didn't know why. So anyway, I don't need answers tonight, but I sure would like some follow-up about both issues and regarding the police report, if that's information that can be shared so that I can pursue a claim.
Chief, would that be something you could get?
If it wasn't listed on the accident report, I will look into it tomorrow and figure out what we can share with you and get you any information we can to assist you with that. I was actually out on scene that day, and I know we stopped the driver down in front of Dollar General. So.
All right. And I appreciate all there, but we had good citizens who, I was at work, it was early in the morning, and luckily the city got a hold of my brother. He called me, he's an electrician, so I told him you know, I know what you're doing today. So, everybody was great, everybody was great help, but I feel like I've had several issues around the construction and just looking for some assistance, so,
All right,
thank you.
thank you. Is there anyone else this evening? Seeing no one, I will.
Oh, wait a minute.
Oh, sorry.
I was trying to be a gentleman and let
No, no
let the
problem.
lady go first, but
No problem.
she basically told me to go ahead. So instead of a hair lip, I'm a gourd head. My first concern is at the last meeting that you all had out at the community center, I and several of the spectators in the audience that day were very appalled. Excuse me, I dropped my teeth. We're very appalled at least one of your aldermen, because there were several motions made, and then the second was made, and just laughed their butt off because it was so funny that they was able to do that. I was not the only one that seen it. There were several in the audience that seen it, and they made comments to me after the fact. People, this is a serious damn job you guys have got. And if it's that funny, you don't need to be up here. Because when you bring things up to vote, it's a serious thing that you've got to do. You've got to have your mind on what you do. If you're going to second the motion, you need to be serious about it. If you're going to make the motion, you've got to be serious about it. You can't say, I second that, and then turn and smile at your neighbors and say, I got to speak. The other thing that I've got to bring up is I have had several people come to me that have read the article that our gentleman from the press put in there, that wanted to know about our council. And I kind of follow up on what Mr. Foster had to say, Your Honor. They asked me if this council was made up with the scenario, is it my way or the highway? And I hope and pray to God, Brian, that you don't try to make it that way. People voted for you around here with an open mind, and we feel like that you ought to have an open mind too. Just like Mr. Foster was saying. You've got 3 ladies that was left out altogether.
No,
They've been laid. Just
was
one.
on. Two were
They've
left
been
out.
laid, they've been around here for as long as I can remember. But I think, you know, that's something that needs to be put together. But like I say, people out there are beginning to think that it's your way or the highway. So I thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else this evening?
I knew it.
Vanessa Hargrave, 504 North Independence. If I have that memorized now.
Good evening.
Good evening. I've made my points very clear online to many of you, so I won't take up much time today, but I would like to, well, you know my thoughts about your committees. Your comments that the 3 aldermen who voted to dissolve them last year are left out because of that decision is crap. You are openly saying, even on public forums, that because people disagree with you, they're going to be banned from giving their voice. Their voices are publicly elected voices. They were elected by their people. So you are essentially telling people, your vote doesn't matter and your opinion doesn't matter because the people that you voted in aren't going to serve because they disagree with you. Another reminder I'd just like to say today, I think it would behoove all aldermen to watch how you speak to those who are in your community. When people disagree with you and do so respectfully, for you to berate them on social media, Mr. Long, and especially to berate them for not writing you back a thank you to giving you an email about your father dying 3 days after he died, is absolutely ridiculous.
Let's keep this to city business. please.
It is city business. An alderman is openly berating community members online. That is a public forum. It is absolutely city business.
All eyes.
And I would
Well, we're
urge
not-
the
well, we're not
entire
gonna get into
board,
an argument here.
I would urge the entire board to take into consideration to add social media consideration into your protocols, into the code for the city, and to help better control what is going on, because, you know what, I don't even know if it needs to be controlled, because people are opening their eyes to it, so, thank you.
Could I say one thing to you, dear? You are also a part of this community as a board being on the EEZ zone. And the rules that apply to us also apply to you.
Absolutely. That is why you can trace every single response I have on social media. I'm respectful in what I say and how I disagree. I use facts to back it up, and never once do I berate people. Never once do I put them down. I state why I disagree. I give my opinions to it. I give facts to back that up. Never once have I talked down to you. And I don't agree with the way that people are being talked to in this community. You can disagree politely, and to do it over a response about me not thanking you for telling me sorry about my father's death 3 days after, it's absolutely ridiculous.
Amen.
Thank you. Was there anyone else this evening? Seeing no one.
And it's not funny.
Seeing no one at this time, I will close public participation, and we will move on to the approval of the minutes. First, we have approval of the minutes from the work session of July 5th, 2016.
Make a motion to approve.
Motion from Alderman Dickerson,
Second.
second from Alderman Stafford. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Minutes are approved. Minutes from the regular meeting of July 5th, 2016.
Motion to approve.
Second.
I have a motion from Alderman Stafford, a second from Alderman Bowman. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Minutes are approved. Moving on to the minutes from the special meeting of July 13th, 2016.
Motion to approve.
Motion from Alderman
Second.
Stafford, second from Alderman Milner. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Minutes are approved. Moving on to our agenda items. Tonight we have a special event permit for Isaiah's BWM 5K run walk. Good evening, Chief.
Good evening, Mr. Mayor, members of the Board of Aldermen. Before you tonight is a event permit for Isaiah's BWM 5K run walk. BWM is Vanishing White Matter. The applicant has requested to do a 5K starting in the park, running through the trails coming out behind Cass Career Center, down Elm Street, Pearl Street, and back to Holistic Park. We've had a couple different routes like that before in the past, no problems. They're anticipating a crowd size of around 200. And they anticipate doing it on October 15th. We're recommending approval. Entertain any questions?
Any questions or discussion on it? Seeing none, I entertain a
Move to
motion.
approve. Second.
Motion from Alderman Milner, second from Alderman Bowman. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Minutes approved. Moving on, Council Bill 048.
Council 048 is a resolution authorizing the city administrator to enter an agreement between the city of Harrisonville, Missouri and Cass R9 School District relating to police services for the school resource officers for high school and middle school for the years 2015-2016 school year.
This is the annual school resource officer contract. There are no changes from last year's contract other than the dates. The fee that they pay is remaining the same. We're recommending.
Any questions, comments tonight? Seeing none, I entertain a motion to approve.
Make a motion to approve.
Second.
Motion from Alderman Dickerson, second from Alderman Reese. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? And Council Bill 048 becomes Resolution R029. Council Bill 049.
Council 049 is a resolution of the Board of Alderman, City of Harrisonville, Missouri, approving the water industrial preliminary plat of proposed subdivision of land in the city of Harrisonville, Cass County, Missouri.
Rick?
If it's okay, I may go over both the preliminary and the final plat at the same time. Basically, the plats are identical. Identical property, everything along with that. That's the preliminary. The final plat, same thing. one lot, 35 acres. Very little infrastructure that would go along with this. The area around it, this is basically the ADS site, the advanced drainage systems. They're platting the property prior to having it purchased and move forward. The adjacent zoning, north, south, and west is all light industrial. To the east, it's unincorporated Cass County, but it's used for industrial purposes. So it's really, same types of land use. Both the Planning and Zoning Commission and the staff recommend approval on both the preliminary and final plats. Are there any questions?
Questions or comments tonight? All right. Seeing none, I move for a motion to approve Council Bill 049.
Move to approve.
Motion from Alderman Milner. Second from Alderman Reese. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Council Bill 049 becomes Resolution R030. Council Bill 050.
Council Bill 050 is an ordinance to accept final plat of Warner Industrial Park and subdivision of land north of 1/2 of Section 8, Township 44 North, Range 31 West, in the city of Harrisonville, Cass County, Missouri. First reading, Council Bill 050.
If there is no discussion on this item, I would recommend that we suspend the ruling and move Council Bill 050 to the second reading. Motion from Alderman Milner. Second from Alderman Turner.
Alderman Bowman.
Aye.
Alderman Dickerson.
Aye.
Alderman Stafford. Alderman Long.
Aye.
Alderman Bockelman. Alderman Milner.
Aye.
Alderman Turner. Alderman Reese.
Second reading.
Council Bill 050 is an ordinance to set final plat of the Warner Industrial Park and subdivision of land in the north 1/2 Section 8, Township 44 North, Range 31 West, in the city of Harrisonville, Cass County, Missouri. Second reading, Council Bill 050.
Alderman Stafford.
Aye.
Alderman Long.
Aye.
Alderman Turner.
Aye.
Alderman Bowman.
Aye.
Alderman Milner.
Aye.
Alderman Dickerson.
Aye.
Alderman Reese.
Aye.
Alderman Bockelman.
And Council Bill 050 becomes ordinance 03367. At this time, I will open the public hearing for the special use permit of Jason and Jennifer Winter for property located at 700 Plaza Drive for use as an RV park. Anyone who would like to speak on this subject, now is your opportunity.
I only have one question. I really thought that part of the world was our industrial park. Is that not true?
Along Plaza Drive,
Mm-hmm.
I don't know does that fall into the,
It's sort of on the edge of it, and I'll go over sort of what the adjacent zoning is. To the north, you have a commercial zoning, that's landmark and, gaslight, some commercial businesses. To the south is actually zone C2 commercial also. To the west is the interstate. Now to the east, we do have light industrial zoning. Now, if you keep going to the east, yes, that is one of the city industrial parks and does have industrial land uses.
so this currently is not zoned industrial?
The site, no,
Yeah, okay.
it is zoned commercial C2.
It's not an industrial park, because as I understood it, when Mr. Carr built his home there, it was not zoned for private living either, but a disposition was made, but it was an industrial park.
I wasn't around when Mr. Farr built his home there. It wouldn't surprise me if it could have been zoned M1 at one point in time. But yet again, their land uses around there is zoned commercial, so I would imagine even in the past, even if that was the case, it was still a transition area, close to the interstate, close to commercial, but yet also close to some light industrial.
Okay. Anyone else? Hearing no one, I will close the public hearing, and we will move on to Council Bill 051.
Council Bill 051 is an ordinance of the city of Harrisonville, Missouri, regarding special use permit for the establishment of a recreational vehicle park at 700 Plaza Drive. First reading, Council Bill 051.
I'll just sort of hit some of the high points on this. This is a special use permit because it's sort of one of those land uses that you take on a case-by-case basis. use of it is for an RV park. The maximum stay for the RV park is going to be 30 days for the use permit. The reason for that is sometime, in fact, Belton, Missouri had a good example to where an RV park became sort of a permanent residence. And that is in there to make sure that that won't happen in the future, where you won't have a blighted area of permanent residence in that area. City codes like fire, emergency access ordinances, driveway and parking areas would have to meet city code, city standards. Any lighting would have to be directed down and away from adjacent properties. Dumpster would have to be screened. The ownership of the RV park would be to the Winters. The expansion of facilities, they can't go beyond 40 units. They're only asking for 30 at this point, but they can't go beyond 40 without getting updating and amending the use permit, and time limit would be 12 years. This would allow for supplemental or other accessory uses. They could put in laundry facilities, recreation facilities there if they choose to, not that they're wanting to do it up front, but if they decide to do some of those associated uses, they're more than welcome to also. So both the Planning and Zoning Commission and the staff recommend approval contingent upon meeting the requirements of the use permit.
I do have one comment on this, is as it would pertain to the driveways and the parking areas. I've been in several of these parks, and typically you have a paved section that leads into the park where you go through there's usually an office or something, or whatever, a tenant that's available. But after that, they usually go to a very fine type gravel, and the pad sites are also a very fine type gravel because it's relatively expensive to form one of these with everything paved, and that's kind of the standard from what I understand. I would like to see this done to where they're not having to sink money into concrete if if you've got enough pavement that you're not dragging gravel out everywhere, which, the traffic's going to be the RVs parking. I would like to see that as a possibility for an exception in this.
If that is something the board would like, let's incorporate it into the use permit, and it can be documented there.
Would we need to do that tonight?
Yes.
Okay. Before we vote on it, it would have to be amended.
Need a motion to amend.
Make a motion to amend what you said to concrete. What do you call that, entranceway?
You have an entranceway of so many feet. I'm sorry, public hearing was, I'm sorry.
All right. Okay, I make a motion to do that.
To suspend.
To what?
We need to amend
Yeah.
first.
Wanting to amend it to allow a certain, Mr. Winters, do you have any idea how much concrete you would want to, how far in that would be concreted? Have you looked into what distance they typically pave that, and then it becomes?
Typically, an entrance wide enough to get into, and we're thinking at least 20 feet on in, so that, it's a good solid entrance in, and then they can turn on into the chip and seal, or the gravel, or the chip, what we put in there. So again, it'll be a packed in gravel surface.
Doesn't stir up lots of dust or that kind of stuff,
Right,
because they're not going to be going 30 miles an hour across this. So.
And the way that it's gonna be turned and coming in and out of there, they can't go, they're gonna have to go in slow and out slow.
Okay.
Eric, how many feet do they need to put it in? How wide do they need to be?
I've never studied this. In my opinion, it would probably be somewhere between 30 and 35, but if there's something to show that 20 is adequate.
Give us a number.
Now, you're saying 20 feet deep, not wide, right?
Right.
Yeah, it's going deep in 20 feet. It's going to be pretty wide because
You gotta get a fifth wheel.
the campers, fifth wheels, fire trucks have to be able to access it also.
Question, since we don't honestly all, I think, come to an agreement yet, can we make it contingent upon working with staff to what we feel is appropriate level, or do we have to state that what we want right now?
Or you could pass it tonight as is and then just come back and amend it. You're granting a special use permit, you can always always amend it if you want to do that. I mean, you could do that if you want to get them started.
And I don't want to slow anybody down.
Well, we can always
But I
amend
just-
the distance, if
I don't
there's
know
a
if anybody wants
distance
to-
in that's not appropriate.
We could do
can
that
amend
too.
the distance.
Absolutely. You can certainly do that too.
Okay, so I make a motion that we make it 10 feet. How's that? To amend that.
Well, if we're talking about 20, but we think maybe longer, why don't we start with 20?
All we're doing is talking about,
Tell me which one you want.
all you're talking about not having the drive and the road beside concrete.
No, we're just doing the entrance.
The entrance is for concrete.
Right, how deep, what
How
we're
deep?
discussing is
How
how
far
deep
in
we
do you
want it to
want?
go, 20,
How far do you
25,
want to do
30.
it? 10 feet?
I mean, 10 would be great, because we'd probably go, we're gonna go, I can't imagine we won't go at least 20.
I would say that if you think you go at least 20, I would say we'd look at 20 and then maybe review and make sure that that's an adequate amount.
He said
You said 20,
Okay.
so I,
21, so
So take, right.
help me with this motion. How do I do it? I want to amend, I want to make it.
To amend the special use permit that only requires concrete 20 feet into the entrance. That's my understanding of the request. Are you good with that, Rick? Good with that?
What's that?
20 feet into the entrance?
we need to vote on the amendment.
Correct.
And then,
Yes. Second on the motion.
I'll second, yeah.
we have a motion from Alderman Dickerson, and I have a second from Alderman Miller. Roll call, Mr. Hall.
The motion will be
Okay. All those in favor, is there any further discussion? Did you have something? Okay. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? All right, so now we read as amended, correct? So Council Bill 051.
Council 051 is an ordinance of the city of Harrisonville, Missouri regarding a special use permit for the establishment of recreational vehicle park at 700 Plaza Drive, second reading. Council Bill 051 as amended. We just need to suspend.
Was that first or second?
I thought we had it.
Well, you read it the first time.
Okay,
Then we amended it,
so we didn't
Oh,
do
we
it.
didn't have a motion to pass the suspended
but we
rules.
have not suspended the rules.
Okay, so I need a motion,
My
I need a motion to suspend the ruling first,
I make that motion.
As amended, right?
as amended.
Okay,
As amended.
all right.
Who made
Now
the
we need a
motion?
roll call then.
Who made the motion for that?
To amend it, and she seconded it.
Okay. So that's, I have a motion from Alderman Dickerson and a second from Alderman Miller to suspend the ruling
Okay,
and take it to the second reading as amended.
okay.
We need a roll call on that.
Yes.
Alderman Dickerson,
Aye.
Alderman Stafford,
Aye.
Alderman Long. Aye. Alderman Milner. Aye. Alderman Bockelman.
Aye.
Alderman Bowman.
Aye.
Alderman Reese. Aye. Alderman Turner.
Aye.
All right, now, second reading.
Okay, second reading of Council Bill 051 is an ordinance of the city of Harrisonville, Missouri regarding a special use permit for the establishment of a recreational vehicle park at 700 Plaza Drive, second reading of Council Bill 051 as amended.
Alderman Stafford,
Aye.
Alderman Long.
Aye.
Alderman Turner.
Aye.
Alderman Bowman.
Aye.
Alderman Milner. Aye. Alderman Dickerson.
Aye.
Alderman Reese. Aye. Alderman Bockelman.
Aye.
And Council Bill 051 becomes ordinance 03368. Moving on, the public hearing to consider vacating the unimproved alleyways between and adjacent to blocks 229, 230, 231, 232, 233, and 234 in original Harrisonville, generally located between Highland Drive and Eastwood Road at the Harrisonville Middle School. Anyone who is here this evening to speak on this, now is your opportunity. Seeing no one, I will close the public hearing and we will move on to Council Bill 052.
Council Bill 052 is an ordinance vacating unimproved alleyways lying between and adjacent to blocks 229, 230, 231, 232, and 233, 234 in the original Harrisonville, Cass County, Missouri. First reading of Council Bill 052.
If it's okay, I may go over both the alley vacations and the quick claim deed at the same time.
Sounds good to me.
Basically, this map shows the alleys. Many of them go directly underneath the middle school building, not vacated, still intact. The city has no intention of ever putting an alley through there or utilities or anything like that. It's been that way for well over 100 years. The school district made the request to have the alleys vacated. The city staff sees no reason why we should keep them, and both the planning commission and staff recommendations for the alley vacations are to vacate them to approval of their request. The other thing on this map, there's a hatched area. The school district is asking that the city provide a quitclaim deed for the area that is hatched. And it was an area that was quit claimed over to the city probably 60, 70 years ago, quite a ways back. We don't need it, the school district needs it, and there's no reason that we should keep it. So this, what the ordinance would do would be basically give the city administrator authority to quit claim the property back to the school district. So staff recommends approval of that too. So, any questions?
Questions or discussions on this? All right. Seeing none, I would entertain a motion to suspend the ruling for Council Bill 052 and second reading.
Make a motion.
Motion from Alderman Miller, second from Alderman Dickerson. Roll call, please.
Alderman Turner,
Yes.
Alderman Bowman,
Aye.
Alderman Long,
Aye.
Alderman Race,
Aye.
Alderman Bockelman, Alderman Milner,
Aye.
Alderman Stafford,
Aye.
Alderman Dickerson.
Aye.
And second reading.
Council Bill 052 is an ordinance vacating unapproved alleyway lying between and adjacent to blocks 229, 230, 231, 232, 233, and 234 in the original Harrisonville, Cass County, Missouri. For second reading, Council Bill 052.
Alderman Stafford,
Aye.
Alderman Long,
Aye.
Alderman Turner,
Aye.
Alderman Bowman,
Aye.
Alderman Milner,
Aye.
Alderman Dickerson,
Aye.
Alderman Reese,
Aye.
Alderman Bockelman.
Aye.
And Council Bill 052 becomes ordinance 03369. Council Bill 053.
Council Bill 053 is an ordinance authorizing the city administrator to execute a quitclaim deed to quitclaim any interest in the described property generally located east of Harrisonville Middle School for certain Council Bill 053.
Any discussion on this one? Seeing none, I would entertain a motion to move Council Bill 053 to the second reading.
So moved.
Motion from Alderman Bowman,
Second.
second from Alderman Reese.
Alderman Bockelman,
Aye.
Alderman Reese,
Aye.
Alderman Turner,
Aye.
Alderman Milner. Aye. Alderman Long,
Aye.
Alderman Bowman,
Aye.
Alderman Dickerson,
Aye.
Alderman Stafford.
Aye.
And second reading.
Council Bill 053 is an ordinance authorizing the city administrator to execute a quitclaim deed to quitclaim any interest in the described property generally located east of Harrisonville Middle School, second reading, Council Bill 053.
Alderman Reese,
Aye.
Alderman Long,
Aye.
Alderman Bowman,
Aye.
Alderman Dickerson,
Aye.
Alderman Milner. Aye. Alderman Turner,
Aye.
Alderman Stafford,
Aye.
Alderman Bockelman.
Aye.
And Council Bill 053 becomes ordinance 03370. Moving on now, another public hearing. This one is the public hearing to amend Chapter 405, Sections 405.490 and 405.495 of the zoning regulations regarding the performance standards and height regulations within the M1 Light Industrial District. Anyone who would like to speak on this tonight, now is your opportunity. Mr. Butler.
We, as for a public hearing, number one, where is this? What are you talking about? Number two, if there is light industry in there now, is this going to affect them? Is this going to be a grandfathered in? Or why are we passing the bill? I mean, where are we going?
Rick, would you like to provide some information, please?
This ordinance does not,
Was there any further questions before I'll close the public hearing for him to answer the questions? Is there any further question that?
I appreciate you not closing it because until we find out what it is.
Okay, yeah, go ahead.
Okay.
No, that's fine. Might help respond to the
This-
questions.
this amendment, on either case, when it comes to screening or height, does not make things stricter. It makes things more lenient. So there are several industries that are non-conforming with regard to especially screening at this point. This would make them conforming because the way our code is currently, it's not reasonable, and it clarifies it and makes it less restrictive unless they are directly adjacent to a neighborhood, which we really don't have much of that, so.
Okay, so it would apply to anything that is zoned light industrial, correct?
Correct. An example of that with the photographs, well, a really good example of that is stay home purchase Panther products. The way our ordinance is currently written, they would have to screen their material from Universal Forest, their outdoor storage from Universal Forest. And really, one industry screening their stuff from another industry really isn't, it doesn't make any sense, because then Universal Forest has to screen their stuff from Panther products, and some of the stuff like the wood in the photos that's stacked up at Universal Forest, per our code, you should have it screened from, 100 foot at eye level to where you can't see that, but that's impossible. So it really changes the language to where if it's industrial in nature, you can fence it off, but you don't have to screen it. And even if you can see it from 100 feet off the property, that's okay, because it's an industrial area. So it makes things more lax rather than more stringent. With the height, ADS thought they might want to put up, silos higher than 50 feet. It would allow it to do that. It would allow them to do that because they are a parcel in excess of 30 acres. So it's one of those things that we make a little more lax, business friendly, and it would be nice it would be nice actually to have a clear ordinance for staff and also the industries.
Brother.
That's why I was asking. Everybody in this room talks about bringing business to Harrisonville, right? All right, you have one. He's operating. I don't know who is it the lumber trigger, is that the problem? The guy treating the lumber?
No.
Okay, well, whatever it is. He moved in here, he built a plant. He's hiring people. And now we're gonna retroactive come back and force him to do something. Number one, it's gonna cost you money.
It's making it easier.
It makes them
Actually,
not have to
on
do
this one,
that.
it's the reverse, Virgil. Right now, he would be out of compliance if we didn't do this. We really should be bringing them into compliance.
Why wasn't he in compliance to start with?
Good question.
Yeah, that's a good question, but I mean, we're trying to make it easier.
Well, I guess.
Would you like for me to respond to that?
Sure.
That is more difficult to explain. I believe the code was that way probably since the 50s, 60s, 70s. When I originally got there, that was one of the things we looked at, and I was told that basically our code was poorly written and we're not enforcing that part of it. So I thought, okay, that's strange, but we'll get around to changing it one day, and I agreed it was not a reasonable language in the code because it's impossible to meet that standard. Our maximum fence height is 8 feet. How are you gonna screen some of this stuff when your fence height is 8 feet?
Who said we would not enforce that? I'm curious.
You're talking probably 15 years ago.
In the 90s.
I would tend to think it's probably handed down to city administrator, and the city administrator would be my thought.
I mean, I'm in favor,
But-
I would be in favor
Yeah.
of shoring this up because then you don't have a violation anymore.
And the thing that sort of kicked that off was when ADS was having discussions with us, they had concerns with that. And it's like, you know what, rather than have an agreement, why don't we just amend the ordinance? Let's amend the ordinance, it's cleared up for everybody, and we're good. And that's why we're bringing it before you tonight. It would be good for everybody. And it's more lax, more lenient. It's actually with the height standard, it brings it closer to modern era standards. It actually matches what our M1P district would be.
It's just, in today's society and in government, actually doing something to lower the cost of a business, I just don't ever hear that. Thank you.
Was there anyone else in the public hearing that had? Seeing none, I'll close the public hearing and we can open this for discussion. Alderman Bachman, did you have a?
Are there any businesses now that would have to change anything because of this change?
Oh, no. Not at all. Not at all. With the staff report, I guess we sort of already went over it, but both the Planning and Zoning Commission and staff recommendations are approval of this ordinance.
Discussion, comments, concerns? Okay. So we have first reading. We need first reading for Council Bill 054.
Council Bill 054 is an ordinance to amend Chapter 405, Sections 405, 490, and 405, 495 of the zoning regulations regarding performance standards and height regulations within M1 Light Industrial District. First reading, Council Bill 054.
If there's no further questions or discussion, I would entertain a motion to suspend the ruling and move Council Bill 054 to the second reading.
Motion.
Motion from Alderman Turner,
Second.
second from Alderman Dickerson.
Alderman Long,
Aye.
Alderman Reese. Alderman Stafford.
Aye.
Alderman Milner. Aye. Alderman Buckleman.
Aye.
Alderman Bowman. Aye. Alderman Dickerson.
Aye.
Alderman Turner.
Aye.
Second reading, please.
Council Bill 055 is an ordinance to amend, 054 is an ordinance to amend Chapter 405, Section 405, 490, and 405, 495 in the zoning regulations regarding performance standards and height regulations within M1 Light Industrial District. Second reading, Council Bill 054.
Alderman Stafford.
Aye.
Alderman Buckleman.
Aye.
Alderman Reese.
Aye.
Alderman Turner.
Aye.
Alderman Milner.
Aye.
Alderman Bowman.
Aye.
Alderman Long.
Aye.
Alderman Dickerson.
Aye.
And Council Bill 054 becomes ordinance 03371. Council Bill 055.
Council Bill 055 is an ordinance amending the operating budget of the city of Harrisonville, Missouri for the fiscal year January 1, 2016 through December 31, 2016.
Good evening, Mayor and Board. Each year we go through and review budget and where we stand for the mid-year. Right now, everything looks like it's running status quo, runs right on line. So I've presented to you basically line item movements with the only change to the CWSS fund, which we've talked about with the digester. And the refuge fund, which depending on if we do a fall cleanup, whether or not that would actually impact that, the whole $5,000. But all the other funds that have been presented to you today is just moving monies from one line item to another to better manage the budget and help with directors to manage their budget. And the Parks Department has presented changes in their revenues along with changes in their line items to accommodate those zero impacts to the projected fund balances. So the projected fund balances should basically come out the way they were presented to you at reappropriations. And I'll be happy to answer questions or run through more detail if you would like.
Questions or comments?
I'd like to have more time to study this.
Have first reading and second reading at the next meeting.
That's okay.
Any issue with that? see no
I
issue.
have no.
Nope. We will just have first reading tonight. We will reserve the second reading for the next meeting.
Okay,
All right. Thank you.
thank you.
All right. That does it for the agenda. We will move on to Alderman and committee reports. Alderman Bowman.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I want to congratulate Jerry Gibbs on his retirement and thank you for your 6 years of service to the city. We appreciate what you've done for us and we wish you well as you and your family relocate to Utah. We know that it's been something that you've been looking forward to, so I'm glad you're able to do that. Thank you, sir. That's all, Mr. Mayor.
You can't go
Alderman Bachman.
You're not done here.
The last meeting, we voted to rescind the loan with Commerce Bank. That loan was originally made because our fund would be depleted too much, and again, at a minimum level. And that was the reason for the Commerce Bank loan. And now without that loan, we in theory would be to that minimum level again. Mr. Tolan had said, he was confused at the last meeting that I brought this up. And after looking at the prior several meetings before, he did say that our utilities would have to go up as these funds are depleted to a lower level. And I'm assuming that since we went after that loan, because that fund will be too depleted, that it would be at the level where we need to raise our utilities. And I'm still wondering, what level would those utilities have to be raised? Mr. Coleman did say it, and that's why I initially voted for that loan, was to keep our utilities from being raised. Now that we don't have the loan, where are the utilities going to go? To move on, I have some information about the enhanced enterprise zone tax rate. It appears that the Department of Economic Development requires enhanced enterprise zone tax abatement incentives consistently throughout the county. And it goes on to say that the rest of the county only have 10-year terms, yet we voted on it for 20 years. Was this information presented when we voted on this at the last meeting? Do you happen to know?
I know
Do you know? Do you know if it was presented?
about having the county having a standard of,
Yes.
I don't know anything brought up about the county having.
Okay, it's right here. That's all.
Okay. Alderman Reese.
Thank you. Those of you that were at the July 5th meeting will remember that as aldermen, somebody here was accused of going from yard to yard and taking signs out of the yard. And I was awfully happy to see this letter from Rick. And I want to read it so everybody can hear it. It says, "I'm providing information in response to the complaint from Michael Davis regarding political signs at the July 5th, 2016 Board of Alderman meeting. Staff received a general complaint from a citizen about political signs along Halsey Street. Being established more than 30 days prior to the election, these signs were in violation of city sign ordinance. Consequently, staff removed the signs. Please contact me if you have any questions." I guess it's a childish thing, but I just want to be able to say, the alderman didn't do that. And I would like for everybody to know that I don't believe that there's an alderman on this board that would go yard to yard and yank a sign out of the yard when it was, particularly when it was 30 days ahead of time. And thank you to the staff for doing that because it helped us to follow the law. Thank you.
All right, thank you. Alderman Miller.
I would like some answers to some questions on the committee reports as to why 3 of us are left off.
That's not on the agenda, and we're not going to
That's
discuss
my
it.
question for tonight.
Well, it's not going to get answered, so. if you
Well,
have
I need
anything
an
else-
answer before we can move on,
No.
because I'm gonna keep bringing it up.
You can
There are
bring it up.
3 of us left off
I
committees.
think I have made it clear, and I think that we have had this discussion time and time in the past, and we are not going to discuss it. So,
Well, we would like to know why we are not involved in, are we gonna continue work sessions?
we still have work sessions on the schedule at this point, so
And I would like an answer to my question.
I have provided the answer to forming the committees, and it's up to me who goes on those committees, and I've made my decision.
So even though we are elected by the citizens of this community, our vote does not count and our opinion does not matter.
It's not, they don't vote on committees, there's no policy set at committees, there's simply a vehicle for discussion, and that is where they stand right now.
And our opinions do not matter, and
I
that's
have never
exactly
said
what you're
opinions
saying.
don't, nope, I have not said that, so.
It's
we are
not a
going
closed
to-
meeting.
We're going to move on, unless you have something else to.
No, I'd like an answer to my question.
Well, it's not on the agenda tonight, and that's not something we're going to discuss. Simple as that.
I would like to make a motion that the mayor dissolve these committees and continue working with the.
I'll call you out of
issues
order
that
for
are
making such motion, because it's not on our agenda tonight. We are not going to vote on this tonight. It is not something to be voted on by the board.
We did last time.
Well, we should not have last time. I should have put a stop to it then, and I did not know that that was something that could be done. It's not on the agenda, and we're not voting on it. So, unless you have something else to report. So,
Onward.
all right. Alderman Dickerson. Alderman Long. I'm good. Alderman Turner. Alderman Stafford.
Nothing.
All right. Mr. Administrator is not present this evening, so I want to thank Jerry Gibbs as well for his service here. We wish him many great returns. He's, I think, got some plans laid out before him. Of course, he's got a big move across the country. I'm sure that's no small task. But we wish you and your family the best, and hope all goes well for you. I have to say I'm a little jealous of anybody who gets to retire and enjoy it, so I hope to reach that at some point myself.
Thank you.
Lately I have been getting a lot of compliments about our staff and, you know, their involvement with the public, electric department, street department, public works. I think it's great to hear compliments about the staff taking care of the citizens, because that's something that, you know, we need to pride ourselves in doing. And I just want to applaud the staff for rising to the challenge and providing those services. That's really all I have this evening. Max, did you have anything tonight you would like to ask?
I'll be quick. Just, first thing I wanted to ask, is about the tattoo ordinances, where that is at, when we might see that come before the board.
Rick, go ahead if you've got something.
Chief Hofer, Chief Francis, Marcel, and myself have been going over that. We've met on it one time. We have another meeting scheduled tomorrow morning on it. We've been looking at what state law does, what the health department does, what the state, well, their department does, and how things have changed since last time. And we're still working through that. We are hoping, at least I really do hope, that staff will have a good feel for what we need to do to go forward on this. Hopefully this week. I'm thinking it will probably be on an agenda, best case scenario, next meeting, maybe the first one in September. So there's a lot more to it than I think anybody expected.
Do you have a
I would like to extend my expertise of 20 years in the tattoo industry. Because of how they were written before, it really was not knowledgeable in any way, shape, or form. But I would extend my offer to help and anything else that you need to if you want to know how tattoo shops ran, how things are sterilized, how things are sent off, how things are regulated by the state of Missouri, the ordinances by surrounding communities, the lack thereof, according to Harrisonville standards. I'm there, and I got business cards or whatever you need if you need any help.
Next question, Mr. Mayor, can you described over the phone for the last article I wrote about the committees being dissolved? The ones that, the three aldermen that did not receive appointments, you said voted against it last year. Were there any other reasons or basis?
Nope.
Okay.
That's the statement I gave.
Okay. And then it was an email you sent out. What's the process from you sending that email to we're actually done with work sessions or going to committees? Do you know?
Well, to my knowledge, we haven't done away with any work sessions at this point.
Right. So I'm wondering what the process is from your email to your committees.
So far, it will be, there are two committees that are scheduled regularly each month that will meet the first and the third Tuesday of each month, and the others are kind of as needed basis as things are put.
Do you know when those will be implemented? When
Yeah,
we'll start meeting Tuesdays?
Tomorrow is the first Public Works committee meeting.
Tomorrow.
6 o'clock. It has been posted.
Was that meeting for the next meeting, just so I know for my schedule? I shouldn't come at 6.
The next meeting.
No work sessions?
I don't know if we have a work session scheduled for the next meeting or not. We have a variety of work sessions coming up because it's budget time.
So we could have work sessions and committees?
Yeah, you can have it.
But what appears in the work sessions won't appear in what appears in the committees won't appear in the work sessions?
Not necessarily.
What is that? What do you mean?
Well,
It could
I mean,
appear
there can
both?
be a discussion. There can be something discussed at a committee level that comes to a work session. I mean, that's not, nothing's off the menu, I guess you could say.
Who decides if it comes before both work session and committee?
Well, I mean, if you discuss something, and I mean, it's, say there's something that's, in Public Works, we talk about a road or a sewer line that needs to be replaced in a certain area, and they, say Mr. Rudell's, for example, they were to recommend that we should try to do something to fix that, then it can come to the board to discuss, and it would carry a recommendation of the committee. It still gets discussed at the board level to be voted on. It's still is open for discussion. It's not a, just because it's passed at a committee doesn't mean that it's
Right.
going to become a policy. It just means that they're making a recommendation to take a vote.
I'm just wondering, because it seems there are some aldermen and citizens who are concerned about the committee appointments and the lack of certain aldermen. There's some concern from some aldermen and citizens that there's a lack of representation on the committee. I'm wondering if the work sessions could still exist, if you would oppose that.
Now, so far, they still exist, and that's not my decision. I don't decide.
That's
I
my
don't
whose
decide
decision
what
is
the
that?
board, how the board conducts its business. Am I correct? Am I correct? That's not my decision. I don't decide how to conduct the business of the board. That's the board's decision to make.
Can I ask for some clarification?
Sure.
Since
Sure.
we're having this discussion. So, before, when we had our standing committees, they did do voting, they made motions. And so is it my understanding that with these committees, that there's no voting, there's not going to, I mean, you're saying they're going to make a recommendation to the board, are they going to vote on it for that recommendation?
We're
Because
actually going to, one of the things on our item tomorrow is to have a discussion on how we want to, kind of some of the expectations. That's one of the things Eric and I discussed to bring up in that is what are our expectations at the committee level. And before it was a vote whether to recommend it to the board.
right.
So I would
And so
assume
that-
you
that would.
I would assume you would vote whether you want to recommend something to the board or not. I mean, you're not
Okay,
just
so
gonna
they
say-
will be voting?
Yeah, you would
Okay.
vote to make a recommendation.
Okay, well, I didn't know if it, because when I did read the article, it was my understanding that was advisory. And so
Well,
I'm just trying to make sure that I understand.
You still
when
are,
I-
you're advisory, it's just still is whether you want to make the recommendation. You can't just, I guess if you wanted to say, is there a consensus on a recommendation? It still can go before the board even without approval or not approval. It's not an approval, it's a recommendation. It's just like planning and zoning makes a recommendation, yes or no. It still comes to the board and the board would say, well, they don't recommend this, but we want to go ahead and pass it. They can still pass it. So the board has the final say.
That brings up, sorry, I'm taking more time I thought I would. Brings up one more question then. If the committee decides not to recommend it to the board, that's something, in a way, that's setting policy by not setting policy.
No, because it could still be brought to the board and Alderman can still request something to be brought to the board.
Okay, even if it's not recommended by the committee.
Correct.
All this wasn't covered in Civics 101?
Obviously not.
Evidently.
Just want to be thorough.
Anyway, so yeah, no, I mean, anything can be brought up, and it's, I mean, there is a process in place to bring things before the board, and so that's still there, that's a check and balance that can't be taken away.
Okay. Thanks.
Very good. All right. Since we're done with that, Mr. Dickerson?
I move that the Board of Alderman go into closed session pursuant to the following sections of the revised state section 610-021 to discuss legal action and any confidential or privileged communication between the city and its
Need a second, please. Second. Second from Alderman Long.
Alderman Bowman? Aye. Alderman Bachman? Alderman Reese? Alderman Milner? Aye. Alderman Dickerson?
Aye.
Alderman Long? Alderman Turner? Alderman Stafford?
And we are adjourned to executive. Thank you.
First reading.